At the beginning of the story, the media crew is already crowded in front of the court. A mafia boss named Wataru Gojo has just been acquitted of bribery and corruption. After leaving the court, Gojo is greeted by the Attorney General, who apparently has connections with him. Gojo still wants to walk through the lobby, even though there are many reporters there. Suddenly, a prosecutor named Hirayama Kenji stopped him. The chief prosecutor of Kaiko City is famous for being honest and persistent in pursuing criminals. Hirayama threatened that he would expose all of Gojo's crimes. Gojo was very relaxed and felt immune to the law, mocking that this man would not be able to touch him. Then Gojo left. When Gojo was outside, he was mobbed by reporters. A girl reporter immediately interjected by daring to ask. He was released because he had connections with the law officials. What was his feeling? Gojo took the microphone, denied it, and defended himself against the accusation that he was innocent. Gojo even shamelessly promoted himself to become the mayor of Kaiko City under the pretext of wanting to save the city from the downturn and crime that plagued the region. He would be the solution to all the problems in the city. All the citizens in Kaiko City heard Wataru Gojo's nonsense. In a private bathhouse, a group of yakuza were bathing enjoying a hot spring. A man in a plastic raincoat wants to enter, but he is forbidden. What happens there is that he kills them all. Afterward, a man in a black suit enters. This man is named Kim Seung-jae, or Kim Kazuyoshi. He enters the bathhouse casually, changing clothes, immediately finishing off the yakuza who are bathing. Then he came to his leader named Sakurada. This person casually showed his knife. Some guy, a Korean yakuza, casually took a bath after killing all the yakuza there. Police officers came to investigate the massacre scene. The two detectives are named Ryota and Satoshi, two honest and brave officers from Criminal Investigation Agency Division, which is probably rare in Kaiko City nowadays. The victims were Yakuza boss Sakurada and some of his high-ranking officers. Even Sakurada's places had been destroyed. All his men there were killed, and strangely the safe was opened and the contents were missing. A rookie cop named Megumi Nohara arrives at the scene of the crime in a hurry. Inside, she was scolded by her two seniors for going to the crime scene even dressed up. Their division captain said Sakurada's hand was cut off and must have been taken by the perpetrator to open a safe at the victim's headquarters. Megumi asked what happened, and Satoshi opened the plastic wrap. Megumi immediately became nauseous and vomited. Satoshi tells Megumi about the two principles of field detectives: don't vomit and don't cry at the scene of the crime. Suddenly, they get an emergency report that there has been a massacre around Sakurada headquarters. Some guy walks down a hallway. This person was Oyama, Gojo's assistant. Their goal in killing Sakurada was the item in his safe, but it was already gone. Someone preceded Sun Gai. Gojo came out, and Sun Gai was scolded by Gojo. They worked together to get the item, but he disappointed her. The mess he made could be a problem for her. Gojo asked Sun Gai to do better. Sun Gai left angrily, only because Sun Gai felt that it was only because of his boss's orders that he would do Gojo's bidding. The next day, the chief prosecutor of Kaiko City, Hirayama, summoned a prosecutor named Koizumi Kori. Kaiko City at that time was indeed on the rise in crime. Prosecutor Hirayama was convinced that Gojo was the mastermind of the increasing gang wars in the city. He asked this woman to form a special division tasked with finding evidence of Gojo's crimes in order to imprison him. The prosecutor has already selected his members and asked Koizumi to vet them. They are Satoshi Kumamoto and Ryota Nishizaki of the Criminal Investigation Agency Division and Rookie Police Lieutenant Megumi Nohara. They were chosen because they had clean records, and the team leader was Captain Makoto Terada. Terada is currently in jail on false charges of murdering someone. Koizumi seems unhappy that Terada is part of the team, even though Terada was his former superior. This guy is a loudmouth and acts on his own. Hirayama assures him that Terada, who started his career in the prosecutor's office and then moved to the police force, becoming the chief of the Criminal Investigation Agency Division, is reliable. He would take full responsibility for the team. This was Makoto Terada, an old man, but in his day, he was the most feared officer of the yakuza throughout Japan. The warden sent him out. The chief prosecutor wanted to see him. Hirayama introduced himself. Koizumi was silent, seeing his former supervisor. Hirayama had studied his case, that the charges against him were only weak and the evidence was also not strong enough. Hirayama offered to release Terada from prison. However, in exchange, Koizumi must help the prosecution arrest Wataru Gojo, the chairman of the Gojo conglomerate. Terada used to be an officer who fought against the crimes committed by the Gojo group, but instead he was framed and made him as a criminal. Hirayama assured that he would take full responsibility for this special division. Hitting the good guys is violence, but hitting the bad guys is justice. With their shared principles, Terada was finally interested in working together. The three of them were shocked to know that they had been relieved of their duties by their captain. They were transferred to a new place and asked to go to an address. They headed there, an arcade playground that had closed down. Satoshi and Ryota were shocked to see Terada, their former captain, who had been released from prison. Terada was the former captain of the Criminal Investigation Agency Division. Terada firmly told Megumi, who was shy, to introduce herself. Prosecutor Koizumi came in and explained, "These people are confused about what happened. Now they're all in the Special Investigation Division. It all started 3 years ago, when Gojo urged the current mayor Kiko to rebuild the Western District. Gojo, who pays 40% of the city's income tax, wanted to build a casino and integrated tourist center. That, of course, was opposed by the community, as Keiko City's laws prohibit sales to foreigners. To get his plan off the ground, Gojo intends to become mayor of Keiko in order to remove the law. The city is now controlled by 3 forces. First is the Gojo conglomerate group. Second, Songhon Construction, a company that looks clean, but is actually run by the Korean mafia, and the land to be built on belongs to the Sakurada gang. It is suspected that Gojo and the Korean gang are working together to eliminate the Sakurada gang. Terada added that their mission was to find evidence of Wataru Gojo's crimes, including embezzlement, bribery, and treason. After that, they can then imprison him. But of course they need evidence for that. In addition, Prosecutor Koizumi wanted all the evidence he collected to keep in secret, and nothing should be leaked out. A man named Amazaki is being hunted by the police. He is Sakurada's former confidant. He is suspected of killing his own boss, because there is CCTV evidence against him. And now Yamazaki has been hunted by many parties. It turns out that Megumi is good friends with Mika, the reporter at the beginning of the story who questioned Gojo. They still meet, often outside. Mika confided that she was suspended because Gojo reported to her boss. Mika often baits Megumi for information about her investigation into Gojo's arrest, but unfortunately, this girl doesn't want to answer that. It's a secret. Back at headquarters, Koizumi warns Terada that he's still under surveillance. Don't let him act out of line, as Koizumi knows the old man likes to take matters into his own hands when it comes to catching criminals. Terada doesn't take Koizumi too seriously. Terada will catch Gojo in his own way. This is the boss of Songhon Construction, Madam Yun, a Korean gangster disguised as a construction company. Sung-jae comes to see her and gives her the news that Terada was released from prison. Sung-jae has sent his people to take care of this old man. It turns out that in the past, it was Terada who had killed Madam Yun's son, Tak-yun. Madam Yun asked Kim Sung-jae not to fail this time. People started protesting everywhere. The protesters opposed the development plan carried out by Gojo. Meanwhile, the Special Division team started their mission. They were gathered. Their current mission is to arrest Murata, Sakurada's right-hand man. Megumi, who was still a beginner, was finally told to wait outside. This person was named Murata. He intended to avenge his boss's death. They packed up and prepared their weapons. The team members began to climb up. Terada happened to cross paths with Murata and his gang members. This old man was fearless. He shouted at Murata and his members with a louder or megaphone. The old man began to beat Murata and his gang. Satoshi and Ryota joined in the scuffle. Terada's body may be old, but this old man is still very fierce. These gang members are nothing to him. Murata, who saw that, started to get scary intense and wanted to run away. It turned out that Megumi was reliable, as she was able to knock Murata out. They kept Murata in their headquarters. Satoshi interrogates him and asks about the whereabouts of Sakurada's subordinate, Yamazaki. He was accused of killing his own boss. They were in the same gang, he must know something. Murata replied that Yamazaki couldn't have killed his own boss. This was all Kim Sung is doing from Songwon Construction. Murata explains that the missing items in Sakurada's safe place are evidence of Gojo's crimes collected by Sakurada. Sakurada intended that with that evidence, Wataru Gojo and the Korean Mafia group would be caught. It was already gone when they arrived at the places. Apparently, this evidence was what Gojo and some guy were looking for at the beginning of the story. Murata explained that the missing items in Sakurada's safe pulse were evidence of Wataru Gojo and Kim Sung-jae's crimes. There are also recordings of the officials who helped them. Murata didn't know where his boss got them. It was already gone when they arrived at the safe place. That evidence was what Gojo and some guy were after. Murata also gave Yamazaki's address. After getting the location, Satoshi, Ryota, and Megumi went straight to Yamazaki's apartment. Arriving there, they didn't find this person. As they want to leave the apartment, Megumi suddenly felt someone passing by. She suspected it was Yamazaki. They immediately chased after him, and sure enough, it was their quarry. These 3 cops rushed to the car and chased that person. Meanwhile, at the Special Division headquarters, Koizumi was curious why Terada was accused of killing Takyun. What was the reason? But the old man wouldn't answer. Koizumi is too lazy to ask again, so she leaves. Terada releases Murata and says he better think of a way to avenge his boss. Terada gets news from his men. They were chasing Yamazaki on Route 17. They lost track, then asked Captain Terada to track this person's number and location. These 3 cops got Yamazaki's location data. They headed there, leading them to a harbor. They found the car, but the man was nowhere to be found. They would go in and search for Yamazaki's position. These 3 cops are actually being framed. Meanwhile, Yamazaki himself had been found murdered elsewhere. Police officers were already there and examined the body. They found a piece of Sakurada's hand. This adjusts the evidence that this man is the murderer of his own boss. Terada, who had been monitoring the police radio, heard that Yamazaki had been found dead. He wanted to tell his team members to come back, but there was no signal. Suddenly someone came in to finish him off, but this old man was not so easily defeated. The mercenaries sent by Kim Sung-jae and Gojo were defeated. Again, the 3 members of their team entered the place and started looking around. All they found was someone cutting fish. The 3 men pointed their guns at him and told him to turn around. This was the man at the beginning of the story who was wearing a raincoat. This man named Han was a professional hitman. He is a top-secret martial arts expert, paid and hired by Wataru Gojo to help Gojo and Kim Sung-jae's mission. The 3 of them were in danger. More people were coming in to surround them. They were forced to shoot, but this didn't stop the men from attacking. A fistfight was inevitable. Megumi, the rookie police officer, turned out to be very good at fighting. She was quite good. Finally, Han intervened and attacked Ryota. Ryota had a hard time fighting him. This guy was a pro. It's a good thing he's not serious. Han left, but Megumi still insisted on chasing him. Satoshi stopped her. It was too dangerous to chase after that guy. Megumi was certainly no match for Han. That's when Satoshi helped her. Satoshi, who was worried about Megumi, became unfocused. And finally, he was the one who became Han's victim. This person could kill Satoshi quickly and sadistically. Ryota, who saw that, also joined the chase. Ryota was stunned to see his senior fall down covered in blood. He tried to shoot Han, but this guy was very fast. Before long, Terada and the ambulance arrived. The investigation had only just begun, but there were already casualties on their side. Satoshi couldn't survive. He still tried to whisper before his last breathed. Megumi wakes up from her stupor and she cries hysterically. Terada also held Megumi, who wanted to chase him out. This old man tells Megumi If she feels she can't take it anymore, let him know. Terada tells Ryota to be strong. Satoshi won't wake up again. Prosecutor Hariyama is told by Koizumi that Satoshi died on duty. The prosecutor is shocked and rushes to the hospital. However, just as he exited the building, he was suddenly hit by a car. All of this was Gojo's plan. Gojo had apparently gotten information from his people that Hirayama had formed a special force with Terada as its leader. This team was made specifically to catch him. Gojo finished him first because he was the main man of the special division. Gojo wanted Sungai to finish off his own boss. He asked for the plan to be implemented immediately so that there would be no more obstacles. It turns out that Terada did something crazy. He came to Songwin Construction Headquarters and asked to meet Madame Yun. Terada met with this woman, telling her that Sungai, her confidant, was working with Wataru Gojo. This woman was shocked. Madame Yun and Gojo are in competition. The Korean female boss has always disliked Japanese people, especially the greedy Gojo. Gojo's head was held at gunpoint by Madame Yun's right hand. The old man wanted Madame Yun to hand over Sungai. He was willing to be killed, but Sungai had to be sent to prison, and in this time, Madame shot him. The next day, Madame Yun called Sungai. She already knew that Sungai was related to Gojo. That person was too greedy. But Sungai resisted. He blamed his boss for being too suspicious of Gojo. He was the same as his son. Madame Yun immediately suspected whether Sungai killed her son. Sungai, who was already intent on betrayal, and then shot this woman. Fortunately, the bodyguard moved quickly. As a result, the shot missed. It turned out that Kim Sungai had already prepared his men. Madame Yun's right-hand man, Pakumoto or Moto, immediately took his boss away. Murata, who happened to be watching the place, was looking for clues. He didn't expect Madame Yun to be betrayed and chased by dozens of people. Murata decided to help Madame Yun. These two people saw a car stop in front of them, which turned out to be Murata. They immediately got into the car. Madame Yun remembered Terada's words, and she didn't shoot this man. Terada told her a secret from the past. In the past, her son, Tak-yun, gave information about Gojo and Sungai working together because he wanted to protect his mother. Terada gave Tak-yun a letter he should come here. Koizumi gathered the remaining members of the special division near a dock. Their team wanted to be disbanded as Chief Prosecutor Hirayama died. Koizumi says it's over, and Captain Terada disappears as a fugitive, escaping and ending the team's mission. Murata guarded the two people to safety. Madame Yun didn't expect her former enemy Sakurada's men to save her. The scapegoat for Prosecutor Hirayama's murder was Gojo's former assistant, Oyama. He sacrificed himself. Oyama was made to look like he committed suicide in the car used to hit Prosecutor Hirayama. Gojo also held a press conference about Oyama, his assistant who dared to hit Prosecutor Hirayama. Gojo also admitted that Oyama did it because he made a deal with Kim Sungai. Gojo admitted that it was the first time he met Sungai. He didn't know him. Because he feels responsible for the mistakes of his subordinates, he will resign from the mayor. Sungai Han, who saw the press release, was very upset. It turned out that Gojo wanted to save himself. Han hadn't even been paid by Gojo to help Sungai with his duties. Han, who is a professional, was very offended. Sungai asked Han to help him find the missing evidence in Sakurada's safe. Once it was found, they would finish Gojo off. Then when Gojo went to the restroom, Terada was there waiting for him. Terada threatened if he had strong evidence to put Gojo in jail. Again, Gojo remained relaxed. He would not be touched by the law. Meanwhile, Madame Yun came to a woman named Sakiku Sakurada. It turns out that she is the daughter of the yakuza boss Sakurada, whom she hates so much. It turns out that Sakiku is married to her son, Tak-yun. Madame Yun never knew this because she always opposed Tak-yun's relationship with this woman. Sakiku didn't recognize this woman at first. She offers the food she sells to Madame Yun. When the old woman hugs her son and cries, she realizes that this is her mother-in-law, her husband's mother. Sakiku gave Madame Yun a flash drive she got from Terada. This is the secret of what really happened. It was the flash drive that went missing from her father's safe. Madame Yun called Tarada, thanking him. Her eyes were open now. She knew what happened. Madame Yun gave the location of where Sung Gai was. She would provide assistance to Tarada and was ready to be contacted at any time if treated. Tarada apparently asked Murata for help to bring Ryota and Megumi to see him. Tarada wants to relieve the two of this mission. He will complete this mission by himself. But Megumi and Ryota did not accept. For Satoshi's death, they intend to help avenge Sung-Jai and his group. And not only them, Murata and Sakurada's Yakuza members are also preparing to help Tarada to avenge Sakurada's death. Tonight, they will settle things with Sung-Jai and his group. At a cafe, this journalist woman is still busy looking for evidence and news of Wataru Gojo's cheating. As she was picking up her dropped items, someone suddenly placed a flash drive on her desk. It was Madame Yun's right hand. Mika received an incoming message from Megumi: report and publish. She will become a hero and get an immediate promotion in her office. Mika looked at the contents. She was shocked. This would make her famous. Tarada and his men, assisted by Yakuza member Sakurada gang, have arrived at Sung-Jai's places. They are preparing to fight. They will fight tonight. They were surrounded, they were outnumbered, but that didn't make them back down. A large-scale war ensued. Despite being outnumbered, they still fought back. It was a barbaric fistfight. Ryota was an expert. Even though he was ganged up on, he still fought back. Megumi was a rookie in the police force, but when it came to martial arts skills, this girl was very good. Murata and his troops fought back with all their might. Sung-Gai watches from upstairs, asking Han to help him. This time Tarada saw Kim Sung-Jai leaving, so he immediately chased after him. The old man beat up the thugs who got in his way. Tarada called Megumi and Ryota to come with him. With the help of Murata and his troops, these two people were able to go upstairs. One by one, the thugs who got in the way were beaten up by Tarada. Megumi and Ryota helped, trying to close the door with difficulty. They tried to push it, but there were too many people. Murata's troops helped them again. This time, Han beats Tarada up. They fight, leaving Tarada exhausted against this guy. He already knows who this professional hitman is. Tarada tried to provoke Han. He'd been banished by Gojo. Why was he still here defending and protecting Gojo? That's when Megumi and Ryota arrived. These two want to avenge Satoshi, their senior. Meanwhile, Tarada faces Sung-Gai, who is waiting for him. Sung-Gai already knew that Tak-Yun handed over the data flash disk to Tarada. If Tarada gave it to him, he and his friends could leave safely. As it turned out, Sung-Gai was the one who killed Tak-Yun. In the past, his meeting with the Attorney General and Gojo was recorded by Tak-Yun. Sung-Gai suddenly attacked Tarada. These two veterans fought severely. They pulled out all the stops. Tarada finally got the upper hand and locked up Sung-Gai with submission. Back in the hallway fight, Megumi was defeated and Ryota pulled out all his power to stops and face Han. But this guy is too tough for them. Han even made Megumi as a shield, leaving Ryota exhausted. Even though there were two of them, Han still beat them to a pulp. Ryota could only hold onto this guy's legs and not let him go. Han handed the gun to Megumi and shouted for her. Megumi woke up from her stupor and then shot Han. They managed to win with great difficulty. Meanwhile, inside, neither of the veterans would budge. Finally, Tarada managed to submission and break this person's hand, and Tarada could hand over Sung-Jae's gun, then finished him off. Unexpectedly, Prosecutor Koizumi was also a traitor. He is the Attorney General's man. Tarada had expected it because he was caught on the camera that Tak-Yun recorded. He saw it from the flash disk Tak-Yun gave him. In the past, when he received the envelope containing the flash drive, that's when Tarada was arrested by Gojo's paid officers. Good thing is, he still had Satoshi keep it to give it to Tak-Yun's wife. Koizumi didn't care about the evidence. He finished off Sung-Gai. He's going to put him in jail. Tarada replies that Sung-Gai is still alive. He's wearing a bulletproof jacket. That's when Megumi and Ryota arrive. They trusted their captain more and held Koizumi at gunpoint. The police officers arrive, one of whom immediately accuses Terada of bribery. He was the officer who was bribed by Gojo. But the captain of the Criminal Investigation Agency Division whispered not to interfere. The captain apparently knew the corrupt cops had relations with Gojo. This person changed his mind and immediately arrested Sung-jae, and Koizumi finally surrendered. He was arrested and taken away by the police. This difficult task was finally completed. The captain of the Criminal Investigation Agency Division handed handcuffs to Ryota. Arrest and take the captain back into custody. After all, Terada's status was that of a commissioned prisoner. All the thugs, and including Murata, who were in the building, were taken to the police station. The video Micah received was uploaded to the internet. All the officials involved in Wataru Gojo's bribery were arrested. Gojo was also arrested and taken away from his home. While he was in the crowd, he suddenly fell down. It turned out that he was stabbed in the back. Ryota and Megumi, who were there, were shocked. It turned out that Han was still alive. This person was also wearing a bulletproof vest. He was angry that Gojo left him with Sung-jae and didn't even get paid. For a professional hitman, that seems like an insult. Ryota and Megumi gave chase, but they lost track. Han has disappeared. Megumi and Ryota visit Terada in prison. The old man was acquitted of all charges. He was found not guilty. His position is restored. They're allowed to form a special team again. There are still many other criminals in Keiko City. With Terada back in charge of the special team, the movie ends.